Engineer 775 wanted to talk to you about a part of retreat design using propane as a backup fuel and maybe your everyday fuel. We're going to install these two 500-gallon tanks tomorrow. Part one of this is just a kind of an introduction to a propane plan, an overall plan using propane for off-grid living. Handling the possibilities are kind of endless: refrigeration, freezers, generators, water heaters, on-demand water heaters, tank storage type water heaters, clothes dryers, ranges. It's lighting. There's a lot that you can do with propane. What we try to do is make sure that if you have propane on site, that you have the ability to stretch it out as far as possible. So we're also going to be installing solar, but I'm just going to focus on this being a series on propane, what you can do with it. And I probably forgot a few appliances like gas grills and things like that, but for survival, for prepping, and it's an expensive option. But the cool thing about the fuel, as you know, is it lasts pretty much indefinitely. And so we'll be taking you through the burying of these tanks, plumbing it into the house, installing the appliances, testing it, putting a generator in, testing that, and this will be part of a complete retreat design series. It's the propane plan for preppers. Okay, I guess, yeah, we'll just leave this as an intro. Tomorrow we'll come back and bury these things and see how far we get with running lines to the house, what types of lines you use, how the connections are made between the tanks, and some of the things you can do when you're working with a propane company. Just tell them what you're doing so that they don't do it the way they always do it. And that would be so that both of these tanks would come down at the same time, at the same rate. And that is not a good prepping plan. So anyway, this is so you have at all times you'd have a 500-gallon backup. You'd always have one full tank, no matter what. You could do these as 320s, 1000s, however you want to do it. But the goal is, once you have this stored, to use it sparingly, and that I'll talk about that when we do the solar system for this retreat. Putting the propane in. Just set one tank in, gotta set another. Gotta put an anode on first. Number 2 going in. Burying the tanks. Both tanks have their anodes, sacrificial anodes on them. We're using 1/2-inch PEX gas line. Got a shark bite type T, teeing off to the house and heading to the generator. Alright, the propane tanks are set, and then we got this multi-valve that does everything that needs to be done in this tank, from filling the tank to a pressure relief to a gauge so you can tell when it needs to be filled up, to a regulator going on here. Here's the line for the sacrificial anode, and again, that makes sure that the tank doesn't corrode, but that the anode corrodes. It just preserves the tank. These two are for, I guess, the company. This is for sucking out the liquid propane. Very dangerous. So these are the dangerous sides. This is the fill. This is a pressure relief gauge to check it, and here's where the regulator goes on. Now we're going to be putting, obviously, regulator on, but there's going to be a T-block between these two. So again, a lot of times tanks are hooked together and they both empty together, but we don't want to do that. We want to be able to isolate either tank so that he's never without a full tank. So they'll all be plumbed together in a way that they can each individually be shut off, and then he'll determine if he wants to call them when it's down to 20% or whatever he wants to do. But that's up to the homeowner. Okay, that's pretty much how this is going to be plumbed and how it's going to work.